Review. Six unlikely heroes brought together by fate. Two worlds split apart by war. Towering beings that force you to bend to their whims. Welcome to Final Fantasy XIII, a stirring and emotional adventure starring Lightning, the latest in a long line of great Final Fantasy stars. She's not the only star of this great story, however. She's joined by four equally fascinating companions and one incredibly irritating one. They take a grand journey filled with electric and heartbreaking moments that will stick in your mind long after the journey is over. The great story comes at a cost. The larger portion of the skill progression and exploration is shockingly linear. Freedom eventually comes, but the constant narrow corridors diminish the sense of grand adventure. Fortunately, fun, flashy battles and gorgeous visuals help pick up the slack. Final Fantasy XIII is a great addition to the franchise and a great role-playing game in its own right.
Lend me your blade.
So I've mentioned Lightning, the beautiful and resolute heroine. She's the soul of Final Fantasy XIII, but she isn't the only character worth caring about. Among others, you'll meet Snow, the roguish self-proclaimed hero, and Hope, a lost soul looking for someone to blame for his anguish. And sadly, you'll also meet Vanille,
You okay?
an annoyingly chirpy, happy-go-lucky waif whose high-pitched cries might want to make you reach for a set of earplugs.
I'm fighting this focus to the end. We all are.
Fortunately, the other members of your party are easier to root for. You meet them on the broken world of Cocoon, where a great purge is underway to deport citizens to its nemesis world, Pulse. While the story has a dull stretch in the middle, the tension between party members and the great beings called Fal'Cie that govern the flow of society make this tale shine.
I'd hate for this to turn ugly.
And what a world this is! Final Fantasy XIII is gorgeous, more so on the PlayStation 3. The art design is quite lovely, equal parts organic, metallic, and crystalline. There's a lot of detail everywhere and a nice variety of different locations. Everything looks meticulously crafted, as if every rock, every blade of grass, every tower looks like it's exactly where it belongs. And aside from some rare moments of slowdown, the game runs smoothly. You'll spend a lot of time pulling up menus during combat, but everything is slick and easy to navigate. And boy does that combat look good. It's flashy and colorful, and the camera does a good job of making things look dramatic while still showing you what you need to see. If you have both a PS3 and an Xbox 360, go with the PlayStation 3 version. The Xbox 360 version features a lower resolution, so textures and cutscenes are blurrier. However, the Xbox 360 version is still lovely, so don't sweat the differences if that's the version you get. The combat is a blend of real-time and turn-based elements. You have an action gauge that's split into segments, and it rises during combat. Each action you take costs a certain number of segments. Once the bar fills, you execute all the moves you've queued up, or you can cut things short early if you need to. You only have direct control of one character at a time. The other two members of your party perform moves on their own, and this is where paradigms come in. Each character can use abilities from different roles, like a medic or a commando, but party members can only fill one role at a time. A paradigm is a combination of roles, and during battle you'll switch back and forth from one to another. The first half of the game is relatively easy, but during the second half you'll need to experiment to see what works and have a good command of paradigms if you want to succeed. And frankly, the combat is just a ton of fun when you reach that point. You'll be switching back and forth between paradigms quickly and occasionally micromanaging your own spells and abilities. And the boss fights are a great challenge that will have you checking out different combinations of party members and roles.
End of the road. Be careful.
You spend Christogen points you earn in battle to improve your attributes and learn new spells and skills. You're limited to the 3 roles the game assigns to your character to spend points in for the first portion of the game, but eventually you'll unlock all 6 roles for every character. The problems with leveling up this way are twofold. First, character progression is incredibly linear. There are a few short branches off the Crystarium tree for each role, but there's no reason to skip over them since you'll be able to earn everything available to you before you gain access to the next level. Second, by the time you're free to choose any role, there's no reason to spend points in them. You just end up spending points on low-level upgrades when you can use them for much more powerful enhancements. When it comes to character advancement, freedom is an illusion. The limitations also apply to the exploration. There's a stretch where you can pick up side missions in the middle of the game, but for the most part, you're always moving forward. The fact that the walkways and corridors and canyons you navigate are usually rather narrow just makes the linearity all the more noticeable. A little variety would have helped, mini-games, puzzle solving, or something else to help break things up. Of course, the plus side is that the story and gameplay have a lot of forward momentum, and aside from a tedious jog through a tall tower, no one area overstays its welcome.
Here goes!
Hey! Over here!
You okay?
Oh yeah! I'm great!
Grab on!
So yes, it has its problems, but Final Fantasy XIII is a long and great game, perfectly worthy of the franchise. It's got a story you can get lost in, and a mostly great cast of characters that will eventually seem like old friends. Plus, it looks absolutely beautiful. If you're looking for a fun and involving RPG in an exquisitely crafted world, this one will fit the bill, and in the process, might even move you in unexpected ways.